Welcome to Deep in the Plus. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. Thank you, as always, for being with us. We appreciate you. If you have not already, please subscribe to WDWNT TV and also hit like on this video as it helps people to find us. And we've got some reasons for you to like tonight. First of all, I want to introduce my co-host and my good friend, Mr. Patrick Hackett.
Hey, how is it going, everybody? I am so happy to be back as the one and only Herbie correspondent.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And, of course, the star... we think the star of Herbie Goes Bananas, Mr. Joaquin Garay III. How are you, sir?
Very good, thank you. Very good, thank you. I don't know about the star, but we'll go on.
We'll definitely talk about that because we think you were the star as we were watching it. We're like, wait a minute. They're like, is he the star?
No one else on the screen but him.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
so you played Paco in this movie, and we'll talk about that in a second. But what I want to talk about first is you have a lot of connections to Disney, and we have a lot of Disney fans that watch the show. And one of them that I was like, what? Is your father was a very famous Disney voice.
Oh my gosh, he sure was. My father originally, when he began his career in 1929 in vaudeville, believe it or not. That's another long story. My dad was born in 1911, but he lived in San Francisco, and he started in vaudeville at the Fox Theater in San Francisco as a singer, but in the 40s he owned a nightclub in San Francisco called the Copacabana and did a lot of singing there, of course, and just happened to book this part, and it's all in the books, but I guess they had somebody originally that didn't work out. They needed somebody right away. They found my father, and the rest, I guess, is history. That was like in the mid-40s when he made that.
Again, what we're talking about here, and I had to pull it up here so that we can all see, is Panchito, the voice of Panchito from. Why isn't this showing up? Ah, there it is. From the original Three Amigos. This is not, I don't think, from the original Three Amigos, but yeah, Three Caballeros. Three Caballeros. What am I talking about? Yeah, I don't know. I was just really excited about that because I was like, we as park fans, we go into. I don't know if you've ever been to the one in Florida and ridden the.
I have been, and I've ridden that ride, and we're actually going to Florida on Saturday. We're going back to Orlando, and it was amazing to. I mean, the ride. It's my father, and he's part of the ride, and he speaks.
Wow.
The gentleman who did that voice is a friend of mine. He's a stand-up comic. His name's Carlos Alcarías. I think that's how he but very famous cartoon and voiceover actor, and he replicated my father's voice really closely. I was a little shocked because I was like, my dad never recorded all this, so it was
You're like, I want names. Who did this? Who did this?
Yes. Who did this? Yeah.
But then you got this gig for the Herbie movie, and you played Paco in Herbie Goes Bananas, which was the fourth and actually the final of the original movies. I feel like we ended on a high note here, but here you are back in the day as Paco, and again, like I said, like. I mean, I know that there's a huge cast with this. I know it's Harvey Korman and Cloris Leachman, but you know, you only see them for a brief amount of time compared to how much you see Herbie and Paco. So like, Patrick and I were like, he's the star.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, in terms of screen time,
star, but, screen time, for sure, me.
It's you and him.
But back when I wasn't that big a name, and of course Harvey Korman, one of my idols.
Yeah.
Cloris Leachman, John Vernon, Richard Jaco, Alex Rocco from The Godfather. I mean, such amazing, huge stars, and Fritz. How do you say his name?
Yeah.
Fritz Felling. The guy who does
Fritz Feld.
Oh yes.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, a huge star from early Hollywood. So, I was happy with the billing. I just wanted to make the film. I didn't care.
No, very, 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 very true. So, Disney Plus comes out and they drop all the Herbie movies, except actually Herbie Fully Loaded wasn't on there for a while, but now all the Herbie movies are on here. Herbie Goes Bananas started with The Love Bug in '69, and then Herbie Rides Again with Kim Berry, I think it was '74, and then Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo, and then it finished with Herbie Goes Bananas in 1980, and then of course there was a reboot with Bruce Campbell in the '90s for TV, and then the Herbie Fully Loaded. Here's my question. Did you know the Herbie franchise before you booked this gig? Like as a little kid, was that a big deal to you?
Oh, big time, big time. I mean, I was a big fan way before that audition. My favorite film probably is Herbie the Love Bug. And Herbie the original. You know. Yeah, the original is so great, and it's just amazing to watch him come to life, and you know, Buddy Hackett. I mean, just amazing movie. You know, so much fun.
Well, and Patrick and I had it out about whether Dean Jones was the man or not, and by the end of the time we talked about it, I convinced him Dean Jones was the man. I know they brought him back for the Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo. Before the show, we were talking about this and Herbie Goes Bananas, and one of the things that I noticed in the movie, and Patrick kind of mentioned it, was I was looking at the clock. We were an hour and 20 minutes in before I actually saw bananas. And of course, in it, the car's covered in bananas. But you said that was not the original name of this film.
No, the original name of the film, at least the script that I had, the working script that I had, was Herbie Goes to Acapulco. And I don't know why it changed or how it changed, but really, people always ask me that too. Is like, you know, up until we cover the car in bananas, there's really nothing bananas about it. But you know, that's Hollywood.
Yeah. So, you know, again, this movie was what, 43 years ago. I said to you beforehand, I don't expect you to remember everything, but I had so many questions, and Patrick, I'm sure you did as well when you were watching this movie. I'm going to let Patrick go first though, because like,
of course.
Yeah, just go. Patrick, what you got?
All right. So when we did Race to Witch Mountain, I went through the IMDb trivia section, and we were able to debunk some things. But here's what I want to know. When Herbie walked the plank, did they actually throw a Volkswagen? Oh, my God.
Oh, my gosh. We could talk about this for an hour. Okay, so we were off the coast of Panama on a small cruise ship. We were on that ship probably about, you know, a week and a half, something like that. And, you know, it was really like the talk of the set is when we were going to throw Herbie, you know, into the ocean. You know, and it's kind of a neat thing to do because, you know, really Harvey Korman's character is kind of a pirate, you know, the way he speaks and his attitude. So it was just fitting for him to do that, to have him walk the plank. But I remember there was two cars, and this car, first of all, has a lot of wood in it. So a lot of it's made out of wood. The wheels are plastic. What was supposed to happen is when it fell in the water, everything was supposed to open and then it would sink. But really, all that opened, if you watch, is just one door. But if you watch the movie back, they tried to push it into the ocean and it stopped. So just imagine they tilt it and then it goes on its hood, and the hood was, you know, has an indentation now, and then they had to reset it. So if you watch the movie, before they even push it, it's already pushed in.
Tilted over.
The hood at least.
Yeah.
Because it tilted on, you know, stopped. So I remember everybody going, "Oh my gosh, it didn't happen," you know. So, and the funny thing too is in the movie I'm in a room looking through a window, but that was shot on studio. So I was actually, if you watch the movie, I know exactly where I am, but I'm like on the third level looking up, right? Because they wanted me far enough away. I wanted to watch, so I had to be far enough away that the camera didn't catch me, and then we were close enough to watch it. So I'm watching it, you know, from the bottom up. So, but he is in the ocean. He's still in the ocean. It was never retrieved. There's a lot of weird things on the internet where they supposedly found it and all that. It's still there. It never was recovered.
Don't let me go down that rabbit hole.
I was gonna say, Patrick, you and I, we know our new vacation destination. We're going for that. We're gonna go dig it up.
Our wives are gonna be so excited.
You can go. It's off the coast of Panama, so it's there, but it's super deep. I mean, I don't think you can retrieve it. I mean, it might be gone now, from the decay of being in the ocean.
I always wanted a VW Bug just to be able to paint it up like Herbie, because I just thought Herbie was the coolest thing. As a matter of fact, I know that you've been to a lot of the like Herbie conventions and car shows and things like that. You actually rode one in the parade in Hollywood, didn't you?
Just recently, yeah. The kid that owns that, his name's Efren, and he asked me to ride in the parade with him, and I did. It's part of this thing called Stars Cars, right? They have the Batmobile and DeLorean and Dukes of Hazzard car. So
like the Ghostbusters vehicles are always there.
Yeah,
dude,
that's right.
I gotta tell you, if I had one and I pulled up, I'd want you to come take a picture next to it, dude. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
That is so cool. But I actually had my picture taken next to one that came. What's up?
Did you see my shirt that I was wearing in that picture?
Oh, you were wearing the Three Caballeros.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That is so cool.
That's
oh my gosh. That is
Oh.
so cool. That is so again, that is awesome. But I had my picture taken next to one, and I felt like I was like celebrity, because to me Herbie is alive in these movies. He actually they kind of went overboard with it in the Lindsay Lohan one, but I mean, and I think in this one I feel like he was even more so than the first three. The thing with the antenna where he goes to get the keys, I was like, okay, here's a superpower I never knew Herbie had.
Right, and like it's been pointed out to me by the experts, the Herbie fans, he never had an antenna until that scene. So I guess
Get out.
I guess the original Herbies don't have antennas, but this one did it because it had to bend over to grab the keys.
Yeah, that was very cool. So the other thing that I have, because I have such a love for this car, I love Paco. I love him to death. But this vandalism right here, where you're painting taxi all over the thing,
They should have put him in jail.
hurts my heart. Oh my gosh! Like,
look at the hat. Look at the hat. Look at this hat.
The hat's great.
The hat's great, but just like as they cut to him, and he's been such a champion for Herbie this entire time, and they cut to him just breaking out the paint and slapping it on, and I'm just like, you're just adding insult to injury here, man. You need to wash that boy. You need to get him cleaned up. No, not Paco. He's like, I got a business opportunity here.
And now, and you know what though? Think about it. He's an orphan. He runs the streets. Kind of reminded me a little bit of the Alfred Dodger from that play.
Oliver.
I can't remember the name of it.
It's Oliver, right?
Yes. So he's kind of like that. He's a mover and a shaker. He's always trying to make money, support himself. Any way he can. So it makes sense that he would do that.
That's fair. That's fair.
I got big time Aladdin. I was picking up a lot of Aladdin vibes. That's kind of what it felt like. Always ahead of the law, a little bit ahead of the other people who are chasing him.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I see that. Sure, for sure.
So one other thing that as I'm watching this is, it opens up with the opening credits, and the opening credits as they go through are happening as we're kind of being entered into what is, we don't know at this time, but yet Puerto Vallarta. And I think I told you, I totally don't say that right. But anyway, the only way I know that is from watching that old 80s TV show, The Love Boat. Like, because that's always a place where they were. It's like, well, wait till we get to Puerto Vallarta. It's all going to pop off then. Yeah. So as I'm watching this, I'm wondering, because that's like about 28-hour drive. Not that I looked it up on MapQuest or anything, from the Burbank studios and Disney down there. I'm wondering, like, how much of this did you actually shoot on location versus did you use the Disney studios, or where was most of this shot?
Okay, well, another good question. We started probably around September, and we didn't finish until mid-January. So
Wow.
just imagine how much time we took. And they don't make movies like that anymore, you know. They make them in 30 days now. But we shot at least for a month in Puerto Vallarta. So we were there in Puerto Vallarta for a month. We were in Guadalajara for a month. Then we were in Panama for a month. So, you know, it's probably a fourth of the film was shot in the studio, I would guess.
Wow.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
Disney
Studios in Burbank.
yeah, so I was going to ask if that's where they were shot,
Yeah.
in Burbank, in those studios.
Yep.
Yeah,
Disney Studios.
that's
Like the inside
really
of
amazing.
all the inside of the ship, the cruise ship, was in the studio. None of that was a real cruise ship.
So at the end, when they take Herbie and they put him in the suite on a cruise ship, which obviously could happen, that wasn't actually on a cruise ship, huh?
Of course, that happens all the time. But that wasn't a cruise ship. That was a studio. Like if you're watching the movie, you know, it has to be a studio because all the cameras have to be on the fourth wall, right? Watching us. So there's no wall there so that they can, you know, move the cameras and move the lights and all that.
Yep.
I thought that was awfully
that makes
small
sense.
for a cruise ship dining room too. I was like, maybe cruise ships were just much smaller then.
No.
Oh, the actual dining room.
It's just a studio. The fun part and the funny part is the last scenes we shot right before the end of the shooting of the film were the party scenes, you know, where they're in costumes and all that, because we had the cast party there in that set.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty smart. That's sound business decision. Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and do that.
That's Disney.
Ron Miller was tight with the budget, you know. He's always paying attention to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was stalking your Instagram and I saw this picture right here when you really just want to be Paco. I freaking I love that people are recreating the scene of you getting into the trunk of the car. But I assume you didn't spend a lot of time in that trunk. I mean, they made it look like you did, but I'm sure you didn't,
No,
right?
almost no time, really. I was barely in that trunk. When I was in the trunk and you saw me in the trunk, like the camera saw me, it wasn't a real car. It was just the front part. So it was the front part of Herbie, and then like a curtain. So you got to watch the film again. You see it's missing that door behind me because it's just like a curtain. You know?
Okay. I got to ask, how did they limit the amount of hours you could work in a day back then?
Oh yeah, and it's still the truth. It's still true to this day. Children have to work less hours than the adults. So, I mean, it's probably like a 10-hour day instead of a 15 or whatever, you know, hours it takes for adults to do it. So yeah, it's a very limited schedule. And then 3 of those hours have to be spent in school.
Gotcha.
Wow.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Boo school.
Boo!
But I guess you had you had school in Puerto Vallarta. It couldn't have been too bad. So Patrick, is there something else you wanted to do? I feel like I'm hogging his time here.
No. We had a question. We had a question in the chat wondering what was it like to work with Harvey Korman, and how much is he breaking people on set?
Okay, that's a wonderful question. First of all, before I made Herbie Goes Bananas, I watched Harvey Korman in so many films, Blazing Saddles, on the Carol Burnett Show. He was on an episode of The Munsters, if you remember that. I mean, what an accomplished actor, what an accomplished artist and comedian. But to work with him he was very fatherly to me. So even after we finished shooting, we were friends till he passed away. So very, very protective of me. Actually, more of a quiet guy when we were shooting. It wasn't. I know people that aren't actors or don't work in the industry think that people like Harvey Korman, Robin Williams, Michael Keaton, all your favorite comedians are like that when we're not shooting, but most aren't. Most are, including myself. I mean, I consider myself a comedian and walk around the house, you know, doing one-liners. But seemed, you know, very reserved, very quiet, very professional. The gentleman was everything that an actor can be, and I wish he was still around.
He had me dying in this. I was just his delivery is just incredible, and you were right. He was just half a pirate at all times, and it really struck a good chord.
We never discussed his motivation or based it. I always felt like it was kind of a pirate and a crazy guy. I mean, it's just wild, you know.
Yeah.
And fun to watch, you know. That's not easy to. I mean, you know, when you're with, you know, one of the best actors in Hollywood, and you're in the scene with them, you know, it's hard to stay focused and act because you're just watching them live, and it's just amazing to do, you know. So you have to take yourself out of it, and, you know, be the professional actor and, you know, focus. So.
You know, he struck me as being more serious in this role than in some, because he usually played the straight man. But that was kind of his thing. It's like he was like, I mean, it wasn't like quips with one-liners or anything. He was really, I don't know. I think he sort of embraced the pirate thing when he was doing it. It was really fun to see.
Yeah, yeah. Because, you know, Conway, Harvey Korman for sure is the straight man. Yeah. I mean, Tim is the wild and crazy
guy. True. So when I'm watching this, the other thing that I'm wondering as I'm seeing a kid actor, because I'm a parent, I have kids, is do they let you do your own stunts? When you're sticking your head out the top of a car like that, do they let you do your own stunts? You could tell us.
Well, what I always tell people is, you know, John Landis, I guess it was 82 maybe, the Twilight Zone movie, when those two kids died with Vic Morrow. The Twilight Zone movie where the helicopter flips over and kill them all. Right. So I always say Twilight Zone in post, because I think before they were a little lax, especially in the 70s. It wasn't just Herbie that I did stunts in. I mean, I did a movie with Kurt Russell and Tim Matheson called The Quest. Susan Day played my mother, and it was a Western, and I remember all kinds of crazy things in that movie. That was about 1976.
You're a little bit of a car guy, too.
Yes. Oh, yeah, big time. Big time. Yeah, you know, growing up, my favorite toys were Hot Wheels. Having my own money was great because I could just buy as many Hot Wheels as I wanted, you know, and I bought all of them. You know, I don't know if you remember, the case was like a wheel, right? Hot Wheels wheel. I must have had 5 of those, you know, full of cars. So from an early age, I fell in love with those, remote control cars. Any kind of car that I could get to play with, I had them. So as soon as I turned old enough to have a car, my first car was a Porsche 924, a 77. That was my first car. You know,
that's cool. Do you have any Herbie, any Ocho memorabilia that you keep with you?
Oh, no, none. I mean, the only memorabilia I have is from people that have given them to shows at conventions. But from the original film, I didn't have anything except for the script, and a few pictures. That's really it.
So let me ask you this: when you were little and your dad was like Disney legend, so you go and you audition for this role. How did they let you know you had it? And did Dad know? And was he excited for you? How'd that all go?
Oh, sure. Well, I started acting in 1973. So by 79, I had been working at least 6 years. And by then I had done a lot of work. You know, I was on 2 or 3 series, about 100 commercials. But I had almost booked Disney before. In 1975, I was almost on the new Mickey Mouse Club.
Oh.
And
wow.
The Mickey Mouse Club that I was going to be in was with Lisa Wenchel, who went on to Facts of Life, right? And I had booked it. So we were in negotiations, but they hadn't told my father that I needed a tap dance. And I didn't know how to tap dance. And, every show opened with a tap number. And my father was, no, you know, we'll get him in tap school, we'll get him. And I didn't have the time to tap, so that fell through. So I had almost worked for Disney already. So he was very excited. But it just came in like another audition, feature film, little boy, you know, and went into Disney probably late '78 and auditioned. Yeah, there must have been 500 boys, and then you know they narrowed 100, then 10, then 5, then 4, then 2, and we did a screen test. So it was me and a boy named David Yanis, who I had been working with for 6 years already on a show called Via Alegre, which was on PBS, and it was a children's bilingual show, sort of like Sesame Street, but it was bilingual. Yeah, so I knew the kid who I ended up going up against, and I would love to see his screen test because I never really saw it, but I beat him out, and he never spoke to me again. So.
Oh my goodness! Oh man!
Talk about holding their
grudge. Did
grudge.
not expect it to go that way.
Well, I would love to talk to David, but I can't find him. I don't know what happened to David Yanis, but
wow,
great actor, great child actor, but very different than my acting. So, you know, they went my direction. You know, it just wasn't that he was good or bad. It just they didn't go with what he had chosen for the part, and I got it. You know, I got lucky.
So then after all that, your daughter.
Oh yes.
Your daughter is on a Disney Plus show called Diary of a Future President, and she's been on 2 seasons now. So father, grandfather, like what? That's crazy. Like what is in the water there that you people are doing? Like you guys are doing Disney all the time. How did that work out?
She was raised at Disneyland. Put it that way. You know, I remember the day that I got the call, and it's kind of hard to talk about because you know my dad passed away in 1990. But I remember the day. My dad was a boo-hooer, so am I. But my dad was a big boo-hooer, and I remember I was outside in the backyard playing with my friend. His name was Hector. I remember we were playing kickball or something with out the back. And in those days, children played outside. I know it's different now, but I was always outside playing, riding my bike, all that. And he called me into the house, and he was on the phone. I remember, oh, by the way, the phone was on the wall, and it was a rotary, but that's another story. But he's on the phone, and he's crying, and I'm like, what's wrong? What's happening? You know, I'm thinking somebody passed away. I don't know. And he said, no, you booked Herbie Goes Bananas. And he was really touched because, again, you know, it's like a legacy, you know. So many years later, I booked that. And then so many years later, my daughter booked a Disney show. So I was also crying on the phone. So, you know, history repeats itself, I guess.
That is awesome.
It's a talented family because your brother also has several Grammys to his name. So,
oh my God,
man,
yeah,
wow,
Val, yeah,
that's
my
awesome.
brother Val, yeah, and I mean, my brother. I have my again, long story, but I have half brothers and sisters, of course. My oldest sister, Sylvia, and if you met her, you would never guess, and she doesn't hide it. She's 84. But she's like in her 60s. That's what you would think. But for my sister Sylvia, my sister Linda, Val, another sister I have is named Jill. Everybody, there's a song and dance in everyone. The Grays, from my father's side, from my father, have all got some kind of talent in that respect. You know, my sister Linda has done probably 1 million plays. My brother Val is a multi-Grammy Award-winning producer, engineer, music, you know, I mean, from the Mamas and the Papas to Neil Diamond to Jackson Brown to Kim Carnes. I mean, it's just crazy. And then I have a little brother who, you know, he's not my real little brother, but from the same mother. He's 7 years younger. He also is an actor, artist, and he was almost in the Mickey Mouse, which is crazy. Like in the early 90s, if you remember that, back in the early 90s when they tried to right? So we flew to Florida. I flew to Florida with him, and he was this close to being in that show. So
they went with that Timberlake guy. Whatever happened to him?
That Timberlake guy, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
but you know what? You got all that. You worked with an icon, and we're talking to you because this series has such lasting value. And even watching it, I really, man, I needed something last night, and this hit the spot just perfectly. It's still funny. Yeah. It holds up. It's a fun movie, and to get to be part of like this legendary series. Before we came on, we talked a little bit, and we were saying that it didn't work out, but they did. You worked on trying to get that remake, and we would have talked about you in Fully Loaded when we did. Sure. But I just think it's amazing to attach yourself to a legacy like Herbie that obviously it's gone on generations. My mom handed these movies down to me. And I remember her getting so excited when we would get them on Wide World of Disney and just sit there and watch this. And Bananas, from what I remember, was my favorite. I believe that to be true, although I'm not positive if I remember everything clearly. I enjoyed this so much. Do you have a particular scene that really stands out to you, something that you feel you did really well?
Let's see. I mean, actors who it's hard to watch yourself, and I'm always I'm an acting teacher now, so I'm always thinking, why'd you do that? Why'd you choose that? So, but in that film, I think the best part for me is when he's dead. When I kind of like put rocks around him and he's buried, or like. Very. But when I realized and then that whole sequence is probably for me says it all. I love the car. He passed away. I was very sad. Then he wakes up and we go on our adventures. So that part.
And you utter a very famous line that Patrick Swayze then stole from you.
What are you talking about?
Oh, so
which line?
Patrick Swayze in Point Break, his catchphrase they says all the time in Point Break is "Vaya con Dios," and I was like, "Oh my God, he took it from Herbie." God. That's Steven Patrick Swayze.
No, I mean, Buzz is kind of a common thing to say.
Yeah. It really had a lot of pathos in that situation.
That one of my favorite movies of all time is Point Break.
One of the best.
All right, so I got a question. About the fact that Disney Plus, and again, I kind of mentioned this, rolls out and they drop all of the Herbie movies, so people have more access to them than ever. That had to make you feel pretty cool, right? That but you could just go, "Oh, you haven't seen it? Just pull it up."
Yeah, years, unless you went to the video store or it came out on TV, really tell people, or people didn't really about it. I think for many years it was kind of a loss, and it had a rejuvenation with videos, and then with DVD, and then of course this. It's the main part for me that my are all on Disney, so we're all on a platform together. You can see my dad or hear my dad. You can see me, so it's pretty amazing that they have this now.
Yeah. So do you basically say, which of us do we want to watch tonight on Disney Plus? You want to watch, Diary
no,
of
I don't
Future
think
President?
My daughter doesn't My daughter doesn't watch herself either, so we don't watch her. I watch other stuff.
Let's pull up Wednesday, see what's going on there.
Oh yeah, we love that. Oh my gosh, we love it. We love it. We love it. We love it. She is amazing. She is an amazing actress.
Yeah.
So we're mostly halfway through this, and at a time like this, I like to play a game called Embarrass Patrick. So Joaquin, on this, you are completely really? Okay. You could be a complete just like observer of this process, but we ask trivia. Okay. So as we're watching the movie, I'll notice things. I'll write them down. I'll ask them to Patrick. He won't know them. It's going to be great. So just again, you're
All
off
right.
the hook completely. If you know the answer and he doesn't, you can buzz in. But
Okay.
so I'm gonna start easy for you, Patrick. Are you ready? Are you ready? And by the way, if you're play along at home if you're watching, don't forget to give us a like. Joaquin took his time to come be with us. We want to make sure to lots of likes, lots of likes. So
Yes.
here we go. Here we go. Really easy stuff. You're a baseball fan. What's on his hat?
Angels.
Yeah.
Ooh,
And I
nice.
looked that up, and I don't know that it was an official Angels logo
It
either.
did not look like an official Angels hat.
Yeah.
Either. I don't know where they got that. I'll be honest with you, but it says Angels.
Yeah.
I don't know why you didn't get to keep that of all the things. Like that should have been number one on your list of things you got to keep.
Right.
So what brand of tires does Herbie have?
Good year.
Yeah, because they wear Goodyear outfits the whole time. Like I said, we're
Goodyear's
starting out
everywhere
easy.
in this movie.
What's the name of the cruise ship?
Sun Princess.
Oof, you're good on that one. The ship is going to Rio. Where's its first stop?
Panama.
Yep, there you go. Here you go. This is the one I got you on. You ready? When we first meet Paco, what are his first two words?
Oh my God.
Does he say, excuse me? What is it?
I don't even know if I don't even know if I know the right answer, but I think I know. My first
you
two
try?
words. Sure.
Did you want
You
to try?
want?
No.
Yes.
No, it was
No.
he was shining a gentleman's shoes, and he says, "All finished." Those are the first two
right.
words he says. All finished.
Wow.
What was the number on the captain's office on the ship, Patrick?
Why are you doing things like that? That's just rude. I was looking at numbers so frequently, and then by the time a little behind the scenes is I watched another movie after this for Deep in the Plus, and I was like, nope, those numbers are gone. I have no idea.
A275. I mean, there's probably no significance there. Pete and DJ and Melissa feel like very minimal characters in this, even though they're kind of the first ones we meet, and they're the thing that kind of moves the story around because they own they own Herbie now. When they're on and they're chasing after Herbie, they stop and they buy a bus. Just buy a bus.
Yeah.
How much was the bus?
$340.
Because you knew I was going to ask you that. Because you knew I was going to ask you that. That's awesome. What was the number on the bus?
But you know,
Good.
What was the number on the bus?
I don't know.
$7.99. I'm sorry, Joaquin. What were you going to say?
I always trip out on that because it is the weirdest thing for this guy to sell the bus to, people at
A full bus.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
Next bus.
But yeah.
I mean, is that a thing that happens?
And then
I don't know.
That's another thing. That's a good point. He says we're in Mexico. We're deep in Mexico.
Yeah.
And he says something in English, and then he repeats it in Spanish. He would not say anything in English. It would be all Spanish. I mean, think about it, if it's really in Mexico. But he says, he does say next bus. And then he says, todos para afuera or something like that. Oh my gosh. So funny.
That's so good.
Paco decides to drop his wallets in a mailbox. What color is the mailbox, Patrick?
It was red, white, and blue. It felt like red, green, and red, white, and green.
Red, white, and green. And why is it red, white, and green?
Yes.
Because they were in Mexico.
Okay.
So national colors. Yeah, man. I got
just
that.
checking.
I need to adjust the color on my screen because I was like, why is that red, white, and blue? That doesn't make sense.
No, that wouldn't make any sense at all. I got one last one for you, okay? Well, go ahead, Joaquin.
Let me tell you that mailbox was put there by the studio. It wasn't there, it wasn't really there. So they put it You know,
I,
those
th-
was
I
pretty art department. Yeah.
I thought that was really great of Paco because I appreciated the fact that he wanted the money, but wanted the people to have their wallets back. That's nice, you know. You get your driver's license and all that.
Yeah.
It was very kind.
Yeah, he's a giver,
Yes,
really. That Paco. He's a good kid. Okay, last question, Patrick.
Mhm.
You ready?
I'm
I
ready.
hate that you nailed the $340. I hate that. You know that, right? I hate because it makes me feel like you're starting to catch on a little too much, and I need to kind of switch up a little bit. Our good friend Paco painted taxi on the side of Herbie. How many times is the word taxi painted on Herbie?
One more time.
How many times is the word taxi, can use it in a sentence, country of origin? How many times is the word taxi written on Herbie, painted on Herbie?
5.
5. Final answer?
Don't. It's not nice to do that to me. Yeah, 5.
Oh, that's true.
Final answer.
That's true. Joaquin?
I'm gonna say 3.
It was 6. Yeah, I don't know what you were thinking painting it 6 times, but there were 2 on the front, there were 2 on the back, and 1 on each side.
And 1 on each door.
Yeah.
I was like, he's gonna ask what
That's
kind of
right.
flowers did he paint on the taxi? I was like,
Yeah,
it looked like
that's what I thought he was
daffodils.
gonna ask you.
No, not
Yeah.
at all like that. So, anyway, like I said, Patrick loves that game. He just loves it so much. So I figured we would
See the
stop.
face.
You
This
can
is.
tell. You can tell.
We would stop and play it
You
on
can
there.
tell he loves it. Yeah.
Yeah. Before the show, you were saying that your daughter works at the parks. So let me ask you
Yes,
about the
yes.
parks, because a lot of the people who watch our show are from our main blog, which is all about the parks.
Right.
What is your favorite thing to do? Because I know you've got to go to the parks. What is your favorite thing to do when you go to the parks?
Well, now my favorite thing to do is watch my daughter in the parade.
Fair.
But aside from that, of course, you know, it's gonna sound really. My favorite ride is the train that goes
Yes.
around the park.
Yeah.
That's my favorite ride.
Absolutely.
So
Good
We-
answer.
we
Good
missed
if
answer.
our-
I
Ours.
can, yeah, if I can, I'll do that first. Second, well, my wife and I are big Disney fans. We did Disneyland since we first started dating. So shoot, I'm almost married 30 years, so we've been going there that long. I love the Jungle Cruise. I know that's kind of an old ride, but I love it. I love Pirates. I don't like when they change things, but I know that Walt Disney's vision was to always be changing and upgrading, you know, busting, as he always put it. I do love Pirates, Star Tours. Those are my favorites, kind of.
Wow.
Right there.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And are you guys Magic Key holders, or do they give you some kind of a lifetime pass?
Yeah, I wish. Nothing like that at all. Honestly, we've always been, they implemented the yearly pass holders, but in that last few years we've been so busy. I've been busy, Carmina being busy with her career, that we really aren't really pass holders. So going sporadically to Disney and making it work, you know.
Very cool. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Do you think?
go ahead,
Did
Patrick.
you ever visit Lights Motors Action and see your beloved Ocho in action at Lights Motor? I said action several times. At Lights Motors Action.
Well, what is that? I don't even know what that is. I don't think I know what
well,
that
you're
is.
lucky that you don't know what that is. That was in Hollywood Studios up until a few years ago. Cleared it to make way for
Oh.
Star Wars and Galaxy's Edge. And Herbie featured
Okay, so-
prominently.
Oh, wow. This is in Orlando?
Yep.
Okay. I guess I never went, or maybe I did. I don't even know. But I would have loved to have seen him. But you know, when I go to conventions every year, there's a Herbie, so I can sit in as many years as I want. So I don't miss him too much.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Rob, you muted.
Yeah, sorry. When I clack on keys, I try to
worries.
mute. But I was looking here. They did. This is them. Let me see if I can do this. This is them showing like what Herbie looked like in the movies. And then, so they showed that on a big outdoor screen, and then you would see Herbie come in.
Oh wow!
I'm trying to get to the point where there was like he would drive around. Yeah, it was really neat to be able to see him on like on the property there. But I believe there's one part where where he broke apart. Maybe wasn't that something? That
split in half.
Split in half.
Mm-hmm. Oh, like in Love Bug, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think I ever saw that show.
Well, sorry to tell you that it's too late. There is a galaxy far, far away that lives right now where
you got to go off planet now over there.
Yeah, where Lights Motors Action.
Yeah. I don't mind. I love stuff. I don't mind.
Do you have any plans to do the Star Cruiser Hotel someday, or not really? Not really your thing.
No. If anything, we'll go on a Disney cruise, but probably not that. No, I mean, I'm when I was at the Cinerama Dome in Hollywood in 1977 with my father, watching Star Wars for the first time. So, I'm a huge fan of that, and a huge fan of the series. But I don't think I'll ever stay at that hotel.
Yeah, I don't think I will either, because it's too expensive and no way.
It is expensive,
yeah. So again, we normally when we do this, we talk about the movie in general, and kind of go blow by blow through the movie. I feel like this is such a classic that most of the people who are watching with us are here to see you and hear the behind the scenes things. So I really appreciate you doing all that. I had a couple other questions though about the movie, and one of them is about the music. I don't know how familiar you are. You know what I'm talking about here, Patrick, don't you?
I know what you're going to, yeah.
There was a song, and it's called Found a New Friend. Man, this dates this movie.
Right.
I don't know. Are you? Yeah. I mean, I don't mean to offend you if you were like the man behind it, but I mean.
Well, but I think are you talking about the song of the film?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I like it. I liked it. I think it fits, but I think that song got nominated for something though.
Oh, okay.
I want to check that out.
Really?
So I think so. I think it got nominated. So you might want to check that out.
Yeah.
But,
I just. Yeah, it's very 1979. Yeah.
Yeah. When I heard it, and there was a lot of it just didn't seem. Yeah, it was called I Found a New Friend, but I was looking to see if I could find out if it was nominated for anything or not. The Disney Wikipedia says theme song from from a film. That's not a TV film. Herbie Goes Bananas, first heard when Paco and Herbie are reunited and drive off to explore the open road of Panama. It's also heard again at the end of the film with a different ending.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you listen to the lyrics, they're a little weird. I get it.
They are.
But, it's still fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, here's the nominations. I got it.
Okay. What you got?
Nope, it was not nominated for anything that I saw.
Okay.
No.
That was a rumor.
So this was a G movie. There were a lot of dark parts to this movie. There were a lot of scary parts to this movie. I mean, there are these goons, these full-grown men with guns chasing down, trying to find, this kid, and he's on his own, and there's a time where he feels like Herbie's dead, and then he buries him. Like, there's some dark things in this movie. Did you ever feel any of that when you were on set, or were you just like, hey, I'm in a Disney movie with a moving car?
No, during the filming of it, no, not really. Um, but watching, I didn't see it all put together until the premiere, and I really didn't watch, the throwing of the car off the ship, what I think is the darkest part of the movie, and for me, the saddest. I remember watching the film at the premiere and crying because I was like, oh my gosh, because he as he goes over, he's like his horn is like, and then the music.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you're filming, you're just shooting, and you don't really, I don't really think, oh, is this a dark part of the just shooting your scenes, and when they cut it together and they put the music in and the sound effects, changes everything.
Yeah, and go ahead, Patrick.
When we talked about Race to Witch Mountain, not Race, I forget which mountain.
Escape to Witch Mountain.
Escape to Witch Mountain. They knocked the bad guys out of the park in that. And here, my goodness, these are intimidating people. We were talking before, the Bonafides. Like, half of these people were in The Godfather. Half of them look like they were in the actual subject of The Godfather.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, they were giant men. I mean, I'm not very tall, so everybody's kind of a giant. But John Vernon, Alex Rocco, tall men, very big men. So it was scary. That part was, I mean, they're kind of bad guys, but dumb. I don't know how to put it. There they are, right there.
Yeah.
What an for me, what an honor, what a blessing to have worked with John, Alex Rocco, and Richard Jaco. I mean, Hollywood legends, really. I mean, think about it.
Well, I mean, some of the people in this movie, just looking at the cast, the guy who played DJ was Charles Martin Smith, and he was in The Untouchables and American Graffiti.
I mean, American Graffiti, The Untouchables. I mean, huge director now, really. That's what he does, is direct. So, yeah, him too. Cloris Leachman, I mean, hello.
We haven't touched on her yet, and oh man.
Yeah. My only thing about Cloris Leachman as Aunt Louise in this thing, and I didn't understand it, but I'm sure it was just part of a gag, was she was always carrying the flowers with her. She was flower shopping when Paco picks her up in the taxi, and then she carries the flowers with her basically throughout the rest of the movie.
That's weird. I never even noticed it, but who knows? It could have been the prop department, and they're like, every scene after that, they're like, here, take these. Who knows? As actors, we're just trying to get in there, and they're like, here, take this, and you don't realize what's happening. So I'm gonna have to watch it again and watch that. That's kind of a fun little trivia tidbit.
Well, the scene where the buses died and they're waiting to try to figure out how to get somewhere, and then Herbie shows up, she still has them in her hand, and it's just like it dwindles as the movie goes on. She has a whole bunch when she gets in the cab originally, or in Herbie, and then by that point she's just holding them, and I'm just like, why is she still holding on to these? I don't know, but
when you do a show called Deep in the Plus, you start to notice things like
the
flowers somebody's carrying with them.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the her and Harvey Korman playing off each other, just two absolute legends.
Oh, that was amazing. I mean, I think they worked together before. I'm not really sure, but they seem to have a camaraderie and when you put two great actors together like that, two legends, it's going to be magical. It's always going to be like that.
And Elisa, if I'm pronouncing that right, Davalos?
Elisa Davalos? Yes.
She was in the Apple Dumpling Gang Rides Again, as far as Disney
movies
really?
go.
I was just...
What did she do in it? Do you remember?
I don't. I looked her up earlier, and I was like, wow, and they're back-to-back years. So, I mean, that was kind of cool that she was in that, and then she did some MacGyver.
She is Millie in the Apple Dumpling Gang Rides Again.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Let me tell you something, guys. I was 10, turning 11... starting to get the juices flowing, as going almost into puberty, and I fell in love with her. She's so beautiful, such a beautiful girl, and then so sweet to me all the time, and I was kind of smitten with her.
Oh, okay.
I can absolutely see how you could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very interesting because it was, you know, it was the 80s. They're starting to play her as the very, like, the feminist role. And then when she meets Pete, she's like, oh, well, maybe, you know, maybe I like this guy. And she lets her hair down, takes her glasses off. And then she realizes guys are awful and then decides.
I know. Isn't that funny that they portray that, you know, it's kind of like Clark Kent and Superman, you know,
Yeah.
she takes off her glasses and then you're like, she's like beautiful. But then at the end, she puts them back on. Oh my gosh. There she is. Look at her. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah, and him in the
Those are
spacesuit
classic.
slash driver's suit, it was great too.
That's, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's kind of a weird suit to be wearing. He looks like he could either go into space or drive a car, I guess.
Well, one thing
you know,
that.
another.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you
No,
go
I was
ahead.
gonna say another quick, crazy, weird turn of events. My daughter was on an episode of Raising Hope. If you remember that show, and Cloris Leachman played the grandmother on that show. So my daughter got to work with Cloris Leachman.
Are you serious?
So
What?
yeah, she was on an episode of Raising Hope. Yeah.
That
That's
is one of
crazy.
my favorite shows that not a lot of people know about. It is a
Yep.
tremendous show.
Yeah, she was. If you remember the show, they were doing like a contest in the store, and the guy played, I forgot his name, but he was an artist, and he
Yeah.
drew a picture of a hippo, is it a hippopotamus or an elephant? I'm not sure. And my daughter's in that same contest. So, anyways, you got to watch the episode. It's a good episode.
That's so many crazy connections. That's great.
I know, right?
It is.
And then
Yeah.
the owner of that store, that actor, ended up working with my daughter in Diary of a Future President. He plays the principal.
Wow.
Unreal.
These are some huge full circle moments. It's
I
your
know,
family's
right?
just kind of wrapped up, and especially in Disney history too, which is what
Oh,
we're
well, and-
we're all about here.
And adjacent Disney
Yeah.
history, you were on an episode of The Goldbergs.
I was, yeah.
I love that
Very
show.
quick.
ABC.
I play a deli guy. So it was a small part, but you know, no small parts, just small actors. You know.
And you had a role in Galactica 1980.
Yeah, Battlestar Galactic 1980. I was in one episode of that, and they're on Earth in the past, and I'm the son of a rancher. So
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, so I know we got to wrap up here, and normally what we do when we're talking about these movies is actually, Patrick, did you have anything else you wanted to throw in before we wrap?
No, I think I got all my hot button issues. I'm very sad they threw an actual bug in the ocean, and now I'm going to go in a deep dive of all the
Oh,
YouTube
no.
videos of them trying to find it.
yes,
Well,
they'll never
and
find
for-
it.
For me, like, you know, we could talk about this all night long, but I I appreciate your time here. But one thing I will say about this movie over all the other Herbie movies is this is, if I'm not mistaken, the only one where there's not a race.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. We're going to a race, but
Right.
Right.
I heard rumor that the next film was going to be Race to Rio or something like that, and I was going to be in that one too, racing the car. So, but we never got there. So, you know,
Roll it back. Let's do that.
right?
Let's do
That
let's do
would
a
be
Creed
amazing.
style thing where, like, you're the coach and your daughter is in the car and,
Yeah.
like, you know,
I love it.
oof,
Write
let's
it.
bring- you know what?
Write it.
And Patrick and I have talked about the fact that I feel like there's some things like Witch Mountain, which is actually getting a Disney Plus show, and Herbie that
Yeah.
are like these legendary series. You got Herbie, Freaky Friday, Parent Trap, Witch Mountain, all of these that are just they're like kind of cornerstone franchises for the company. And I feel like
Sure.
Herbie is still a relevant brand that we all, that, you know, people who are our age love, like, looking back on it fondly, but they're still fun movies to watch. And so, man, I
Yeah.
hope it comes
Yeah,
back. And
you know, they're wholesome. They're pre-CGI. It's all mechanical stunts,
Practical.
practical special effects. I mean, they had 27 Herbies. Each one did something different. Open doors, open the hood, move the lights, drove itself, split in half. I mean, just it's fun to watch because it's so you know, the kids today, they probably can catch all the practical effects, but it's fun to watch because it's how we used to do it, you know. And it's a real wholesome film. It has a wonderful, you know, Herbie is alive, and Herbie is love. Is really what it is. I mean, I know he's the love bug, but his soul, his spirit is just love, and that's how I interpreted it when I was working with the cars. You know, he is love, and I'm in love with him, and we're friends. You know.
Yeah.
So, I think I love the idea that you had though. Series Herbie. I'm an adult father, and my daughter, which she could play my daughter, which she never has. Her and I have never worked together that way.
There you
go. Now it's the next generation, and Herbie somehow she falls in love with Herbie, maybe races him. I don't know.
This is the only place it could happen. We've got to make that happen. Patrick, call some people. I don't know. We gotta.
I mean, you know, I'll call Bob. Iger returns my calls unlike the
Bob.
previous guy. Yeah, I'll just call Bobby I. Yeah.
Come on, Bob. Let's do it. I'm ready.
Normally we would say, would you recommend this movie? I feel like there's no doubt that we want people to watch this movie. If you haven't seen it in a while, watch it again. That's what Patrick and I did. But Patrick, you have any final thoughts about the movie?
I think this was a great place for the series to go. I really wish there was another one after this. I felt like this was a lot stronger offering than Monte Carlo. There was a lot of other movies that are like Monte Carlo, but like Joaquin was saying, there's that love. There's so much love in this, and the care for the car, and the car is the character. The car is the star. That's what we're looking for, and I think it's a shame that they didn't go another sequel. But yeah, let's get those creative juices flowing. We'll pitch that Disney Plus series, get that off the ground.
Please do. I'm ready.
Yeah, and I just want to say, I think, yeah, we should definitely do that. But, you know, to me, I love the Herbie movies. I was looking for I have a Herbie t-shirt. I love, you know, the 53. It's such a great aesthetic. And I want to see more of it. I want to see more of it in the parks. I mean, we talked about that there's the show that is now gone. I know that they had a Herbie on the Backlot tour when they did that at Hollywood Studios.
Yes,
so
yes.
I want to see much more of Herbie down the line. But let me get some final thoughts from you, Joaquin, about this movie and what it means to you.
Well, when I first shot it, and soon after, you know, when I was 14, 15, 16, it didn't bug me, but I kind of wanted to move on. You know, I didn't really realize, you know, why people kept just talking about Herbie, you know, and Herbie Goes Bananas, and you were in the movie, and I learned to embrace it. Especially, it was about 23 years ago that I met a gentleman named David Evans from Florida, who's a big Herbie fan, and he found me on the internet. That's when the internet first started. And I realized how many people, not only in this country, but around the world. I have fans in almost every country in the world. And I speak to them, and they come to these conventions. And it's just amazing how even today, and it keeps growing. I think instead of going away, it's getting bigger and bigger. But people really love these films and love Herbie Goes Bananas and are appreciative of my performance, which I'm humbled by that. And I'm kind of almost one of the last people that are alive from the first original four. So that's another thing. I'm kind of like one of the last of the Mohicans, right? So, and it touches a chord with children and with a lot of special needs people. And that's really important to me. Something about Herbie that touches the special needs you know, arena, and I'm glad that it does, because it'll live on Disney Plus, and for future generations, when I'm gone, there'll still be Herbie riding all over the internet, you know, and on Disney Plus. So
awesome.
You're muted. Oh, there I am with that was almost a year ago, in March last year.
Wow, that's so cool. I if you guys come around the East Coast, I have to take my mom. She would love this.
Yeah, sure. Where are you, Patrick?
I'm in Connecticut.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
So I will be on the lookout. Rob is muted and in the Carolinas.
Oh, the Carolinas. Okay.
Yep. So I was gonna say I love seeing like those cars at car shows and things like that, like seeing Kit or seeing some of those that were the actual cars from them, because it's like seeing stars when you see that. Herbie, I was thinking the other night, is kind of like those Benji movies. It's like Benji doesn't ever say anything, and there was in all these different situations with different owners, etc. But you always felt something for him, and the same thing with Herbie. Even though he's not alive, you feel that he is. Herbie is somebody. Like, he couldn't have a better name. Herbie is a great name for him. I can't even, like, if it was like Clark, I mean, nobody's going for that. So I mean, it is a very it is a great franchise. And
Robert.
Yeah, exactly.
Robert goes bananas.
No, it wouldn't have worked at all. At all. So I mean, I'm grateful that you were able to come on and talk to us about it. And so thank you for that. Thank you for your work in this. Dude, you're amazing. And again, your family, wow. So thanks for being here, and for taking the time, and thank everybody at home for watching and being here with us, and we appreciate you. So we will see you on Deep in the Plus.
And I just want to say, I do have something coming up. I think it's going to come out this year. It's a movie called Billy Knight with Al Pacino, and I'm actually in the film with Al Pacino. So we're real excited about it. We can't wait to see it. Please check it out if it comes out.
So again, thank you for being on with us. Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.
And have a great night. We will talk to you guys next time.